Turn the crisis of feeling lost into the confidence of being found, and learn ways to conquer over the most evil mental monster. Welcome to No Bow Tie, where we conquer emptiness and frustration, discover our uniqueness, and live with unrelenting joy. I'm John No Bow Tie Swoboda, musician and author. 25 years ago, I was finishing up a 10-year identity crisis. I was just cycling in nothingness. And finally, out of feeling so desperate and lost, I decided to get some help. Terry was a leader. He was a great leader. He was able to lead people to answering the questions, who am I? Why am I here? And the big one, the big high roller, what is my purpose in life? He had a knack for digging in and getting you to answer your own confusion with solutions. He was a very relaxed guy, sometimes a little too relaxed, but he had a way of getting me to keep from going off the abyss into even further darkness of nothingness. And he had one confronting question that he asked me that I could not avoid. I avoided many of his questions because I didn't want the responsibility. I didn't want the responsibility that came with the answer, that I would have to change the way I was. I would even have to get out of my rut to profess who I could be rather than who I've been up to this point. And in one session, he rocked my world. I remember thinking that he was grinning, but I think he might have been gritting his teeth when he asked me. He leaned forward and he said, "John, what is your story?" I started to answer why I was there in his office that day. And he said, "No, what is your story?" He went on and he said, "You are many stories. You have been many people in your life. You have been weak. You have been strong. You have been kind. You have been wrong." And he went on to unfold in me that I kept trying to look for a single identity when it's bigger than that. And he finally led me to face the challenge I needed most. And perhaps you do too. I began to see who he saw. I'd like to take you down that same road that Terry took me and answer the question, who are you? And I don't mean, where do you work or what is your name? I mean, what is your essence? What is the thing that you most know about yourself when the doors are closed and you're feeling lost? But you know there's this thing about you. And one of the reasons that you feel lost or down or dark is because you know there's a better part of you waiting to be had. You know there's an essence of your being that wants to shine, that wants to be a part of this world and wants to be expressed in beautiful ways. I think we can all agree that the first obstacle in answering the question is comparison. We are swimming in a sea of comparison, not just with the busyness of everyday life and coworkers and friends, but technology has brought comparison to the forefront. With every thumb click that you have on your phone, there is some comparative idea that makes you feel less because, let's face it, media wants you to stay shallow. And they're doing a good job. It never tells you how you are unique. It tells you how you compare. How do you feel about that? And while comparison is a natural tendency, it's how we learn to do better. I think I'm talking about that comparison that demeans your accomplishments. Have you ever seen the cartoon that has, actually, I think it's a photo. It has two boys. One of them won first prize. The one next to him won second prize. The one who won second prize is shouting for joy and jumping in the air with the trophy in his hand. And the one who won first prize is giving an angry stare at that person because he's first. He's the better one. He's comparing his joy, his accomplishment joy, to the other kid. And it doesn't work that way. Feelings of uniqueness must rise higher than feelings of inferiority or superiority. And you know that superiority is an illusion. Uniqueness is real. I'd like to read to you an excerpt from my book about the greatest obstacle that you and we all face. It's a chapter called The Mental Monster. It shows up ready to exaggerate itself into our demise. It dilutes dreams and it loves to support itself through failure. It has free will to destroy our potential. It has a mind of its own and a past to protect. It runs like a virus once it's let loose. Our thinking is skewed by this one demonic influence more than any other. It is not a frame of mind. It is a physical part of our cognition. Doubt impacts every part of your life, and doubt kills. It lowers your standard. Doubt is the number one obstacle that's keeping you from engaging in the ideas that you love, and the esteem that you have available, and the interaction that you know you want to become a part of. Like a murder scene in a movie that keeps you up all night, doubt is fake, but it becomes real because you're living it. And it will cause you to fail because it becomes a part of your actions. It becomes a part of your belief system. It becomes a part of your decision making. It makes you hold back on the biggest dreams that you have, on the wildest ideas that you want to pursue. It becomes real only because you make it real. It acts like it knows the future, and it's going to do everything that it can to create that future for you. Isn't it time to stop playing that game? Isn't it time to have better than that? Don't you want to start living the life that you know you can live? And that lost feeling, there's a trigger because you know you deserve better. There's a trigger because you want a better life. And you know it's available. Otherwise, you would not be despondent about it. You wouldn't want anything more than what you had yesterday. Let me tell you another story about intent. This winter, about a month ago, we had a terrible storm here, and it was terrible by all means. It was below zero most of the time for a week, sometimes as much as 17 degrees below zero. And I had already booked a visit at a hunting cabin that I go to write the books and to get a lot of work done because it's secluded. Well, it's also way out in the country. I went ahead and went, thinking that this would be, a perfect time to get some isolation to get my work done. Well, isolation I did get. I forgot I wasn't going to be able to go outside. I was waking up to 10 degrees below zero, and the high might reach 2. I was locked in that cabin for 4 days. What I didn't realize was how it was going to turn my life around on the way that I saw how to use my own intent. My mind kind of snapped, but in a good way. I realized the challenge that I had, that I was going to go crazy if I didn't either find a way to entertain myself or leave. So I sat down with a piece of paper and I wrote out, why am I here? Now, I'm not talking about the existential, why am I on this planet? Why was I born kind of a thing. Just why am I here this weekend? And I went beyond what can I get done. I started to dig into what are the ideas that I want to nurture? What are the things that I want to engage in that define myself? When I realized that I was there to express those ideas and to engage in the things that intrigue me and to log and develop my own creativity, it became the greatest weekend that I had had in years. I got so much done because I started living with intent. I didn't just want things to happen. I thought about the things most important to me, and I started small, which you should too. Start small, but do start and stay constant with it. By the end of the weekend, I was mentally exhausted, but I did the things I wanted to do. I got done the things that when I was done, I was able to say, this is why I came and this is what I accomplished. I can now move on. I have a better peace, a better understanding of who I am and why I'm here. There's rarely a better feeling in life. One of the things I was most excited to have done down at the cabin, I decided to do an audiobook of my first book, How to Be Unique Just Like Everybody Else. It's a book about finding yourself and finding your own voice. It's going to come out in May, so be sure to get on the newsletter. Be sure to sign up and subscribe, nobowtie.com/life. Now, let's get back and hear a short story from that book. There's an old fable of a journeyman who's feeling lost, just like I was, and perhaps you are too, who's on a quest to find one thing and one thing only. He wanted to find his voice. He travels long and hard, through nature and desperation. He finally gets to a canyon. He can't stand it anymore, and he yells out, he screams out of frustration, and a sound comes back. And it gives him comfort because he found his voice. When you find your voice, it is something that you can carry with you through life. You can carry it in every casual conversation. You can carry it in the biggest goals that you set and the biggest dreams that you have. It becomes a part of you, and it will be your guidance. It is all you need. The first step that you want to do is begin to drop from your life what isn't you. I know it's not easy, but drop the habits that keep you from being you. Start small. You can do things small. Start small and drop the habits that get in the way of your clearer vision of yourself. And then drop procrastination. Procrastination is a disease. Human beings are probably the only animal that thinks they benefit from procrastination. It is an avoidance that only sets you back and demotivates you from your ideas and your intrigue and your inspirations. And I have in a documentary that I did, I have a quote in there that rung true with me and hopefully with you. The greatest sin is to have inspiration and do nothing about it. I'm really excited about next week's episode because we're going to continue this. We're going to talk about how to find your voice. Be sure to subscribe. We will see you next week. I'm going to leave you with another musical no bow tie, musical blasphemy piece. Enjoy.